Welcome to the Duck Dive, brought to you by The Explainer. This is for all our dedicated listeners and followers of the Thought Vault. Today we are taking, well, the ultimate shortcut, diving into a text that gets cited a lot but maybe isn't always fully grasped. Russell H. Conwell's famous lecture, Acres of Diamonds.
Yeah, and it's more than just, motivational speech. It's probably one of the most recognized pieces of new thought literature out there.
That whole 19th century idea, right, that positive thinking can actually create wealth.
Exactly. And Conwell, he spent decades arguing that the big opportunities you're looking for, they're probably not halfway across the world.
Okay, so our mission today is really to pull out that core insight. How do you shift your perspective, stop chasing these far-off dreams, and actually see the huge potential that's already around you?
Right.
And the main story Conwell uses to sort of anchor this whole thing is just devastating.
It really is. He starts with Ali Hafed. He was this wealthy Persian farmer, lived near the River Indus, totally content.
Had it all, basically.
Pretty much. But his whole life gets turned upside down overnight. A traveling Buddhist priest visits him.
Okay.
And his priest tells him about how the world was made and about diamonds, describes them as a congealed drop of sunlight. Makes them sound incredibly rare and valuable.
And that gets Hafed thinking.
More than thinking.
Yeah.
The priest tells him, look, if you had a diamond mine, you could put your children on thrones. Just imagine.
Oh, wow. That's a hook.
It was. Fed goes to bed that night, a rich man. But he wakes up feeling poor, completely discontented, suddenly terrified of poverty, even though nothing had actually changed financially.
Just the idea planted in his head.
Exactly.
Sure.
So what does he do? He sells his huge farm, everything, the orchards, the grain fields, takes the money and leaves his family to search the world for diamonds.
Seriously, he just sold it all.
Sold it all. He searches everywhere, the mountains of the moon, Palestine, wandering through Europe. The search just consumes him completely.
And does he find anything?
Nothing. He eventually runs out of money. He ends up in Spain, totally broke, heartbroken, just wretched. And tragically, he ends his own life by walking into the tide at Barcelona.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Just completely avoidable, right? All because he thought the fortune had to be somewhere else.
Precisely. But the story doesn't end there.
Yeah.
What about the farm he sold?
Yeah, what happened to the guy who bought it?
Oh, this is where the real irony kicks in. The new owner, one day, leads his camel down to the garden brook for a drink.
Okay.
And as the camel puts his nose in the water, stirring up the white sand, the farmer notices this flash of light. He reaches in and pulls out a black stone with what Conwell calls an eye of light inside it.
No way. Don't tell me.
Yep. He thinks it's just a curiosity, puts it on his mantle. But then that same Buddhist priest happens to visit again.
The same priest?
The very same one. He sees the stone and immediately recognizes it. That's a diamond, he shouts. They rush down to the brook, stir the sands.
And find more.
Loads more. It turns out Ali Hafed's old farm was sitting on top of the legendary diamond mine of Golconda, one of the richest the world has ever known. Supplied gems for it like the crown jewels of England and Russia. Apparently, it excelled even the Kimberley mines.
That's unbelievable. So the moral is just painfully simple.
Brutally simple. If Ali Hafed had just stayed home, dug in his own garden, maybe his own cellar, he'd have found literal acres of diamonds. Every shovelful later revealed gems.
The very thing he died searching for was right under his feet the whole time. He really hammers home Conwell's point, doesn't it? Opportunity often doesn't announce itself. It's just there, hiding in plain sight.
And Conwell knew this wasn't just some ancient story. He gave this lecture like over 6,000 times.
6,000?
Yeah, and before each talk, he'd go into the town he was speaking in. He'd talk to the local postmaster, the barber, visit factories.
We too customize it.
Exactly. To find local examples and prove to the audience, right then and there, that they were probably making the same mistake Ali Hafed made, that the opportunities were in their town, in their environment. His message was always, every man has the opportunity to make more of himself than he does in his own environment.
Okay, so let's dig into that. How does this blindness show up in, regular life? Because Conwell had some great American examples too, right?
Oh, fantastic examples. He called them the three follies, basically showing the same error playing out again and again.
Okay, what's the first one?
The gold digger. This is back in 1847, California. A man owned a ranch, but he got the gold fever, felt this passion to go search for gold elsewhere. So he sells his ranch to a Colonel Sutter.
Let me guess. Sutter finds gold on the ranch.
Almost immediately. Within months, Sutter's building a mill, and his little girl finds the first flakes of gold shining in the water running through the mill's raceway.
On the land the first guy sold to go look for gold.
The very same land. Conwell notes that something like $38 million in gold was eventually pulled from just those few acres, all because the original owner thought wealth was somewhere else.
Okay, that's folly number one. What's two?
The oil expert in Pennsylvania. This farmer, he decides he needs to sell his land and go up to Canada to collect coal oil. And this guy wasn't ignorant. He was an expert. He'd studied oil since, as Conwell puts it, the second day of God's creation. Knew its chemistry, everything.
So he knew his stuff, but still sold the farm.
Yeah, sold it for just $833. Convinced the real opportunity was hundreds of miles away in Canada.
And the mistake, what did the buyer find?
The buyer discovered that the farmer, for 23 years, had been placing a plank across the stream in his own backyard.
A plank. Why?
To dam back what he thought was just some useless, smelly scum floating on the water so his cattle could drink downstream.
Oh, no. It wasn't scum, was it?
It was crude oil, a massive amount of it, bubbling up right there.
Yeah.
Geologists later valued that find at like $1,000 million. He literally dammed back a fortune for decades, had the knowledge, but zero local vision.
Knowledge without application right in front of you. Useless. Okay, the third one, the mining professor. This one sounds particularly ironic.
Oh, it's painful. This professor taught mines and mineralogy at a university. Good pay, $45,000 a week back then. But he thought it wasn't enough, felt he had to go west to strike it rich mining.
So he quits his job teaching about minerals to go find minerals.
Yep. Sells his homestead in Massachusetts. And Conwell says, while the professor's making the deal, finalizing the sale, he's actually sitting on the stone wall right next to his gate.
Okay.
The guy who buys the place decides to dig up some potatoes near that wall later on. His spade hits something hard. He digs it out.
Yeah.
It's a huge block of native silver, about 8 inches square, embedded right there in the wall the professor was sitting on while selling the place.
He was sitting on a block of silver while selling his house to go look for silver.
That's the story. The expert on rocks and minerals selling his home, literally resting on a chunk of silver because he was convinced he had to travel thousands of miles to find wealth.
Wow. These stories really drive it home. Conwell's rule seems to be your biggest opportunities are probably the ones you ignore because they're just too close, too familiar, maybe seem too simple.
Exactly. Which leads us into maybe Conwell's most provocative claim, especially for people reading it today.
Which is?
He flat out says, you ought to get rich, and it is your duty to get rich.
Okay, that definitely goes against the grain of thinking poverty is somehow more virtuous. He's saying making money, if done right, is actually a good thing, a duty even.
Yes. He directly challenges that prejudice.
Yeah.
His argument is that to make money honestly is to preach the gospel. He believed honest wealth creation was fundamentally good.
And he pushes back against the idea that most rich people are dishonest.
Strongly. He claimed, based on his experience, that 98 out of 100 rich men in America were honest. His reasoning was practical. You can't run large enterprises. You can't be trusted with significant amounts of money or responsibility if you're dishonest. Trust is essential, and dishonesty destroys it.
Makes sense. And he tackles that famous Bible quote, too, the one about money being the root of all evil.
Right. He clarifies that very carefully. He points out the actual quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil.
Ah, the love of it, the obsession.
Exactly. It's not the money itself that's the problem. It's making an idol of it. It's the miser who, as Conwell colorfully puts it, hugs the dollar until the eagle squeals, who hoards it, refuses to use it for anything good.
So for Conwell, money is just a tool, a form of power.
Precisely. Money builds churches, hospitals, schools. It sends missionaries. It allows good people to do good things on a larger scale. He even argues that owning your own home makes a man more honorable and honest and pure because it gives him stability and stake in the community.
Okay, so if huge amounts of starting capital aren't the key, and we know inherited money often doesn't lead to lasting success, what is the real capital you need?
Conwell puts it very simply. What you need is common sense, not copper cents.
Common sense, not cash.
Right. He saw inherited wealth as often being a curse, actually. It robs people of what he called the very best things of human life, like the pride and discipline you gain from earning your own success, from building something yourself, like the feeling a young person gets buying their first home with money they earned.
And he had that statistic about rich men's sons.
Yeah, he claimed that historically something like only 1 out of 17 sons of rich men died rich themselves. The exception, those who had the common sense to basically start poor, like Cornelius Vanderbilt's son who worked his way up.
So if it's common sense, what does that look like in practice? How do you apply it to find those acres of diamonds?
It boils down to understanding and meeting a real human need. His classic example is A.T. Stewart, who became a merchant prince in New York.
How did he start?
Yeah.
Poor, right?
Very poor. Started his first venture with just $1.50. He bought some goods he thought people should want, tried to sell them, and lost 87 cents almost immediately. Failure.
Okay, so what did he learn?
The crucial lesson. He realized speculating on what people might want was foolish. So with his remaining 63 cents, he didn't buy anything until he went around and actually asked people what they needed, what they were looking for.
Find the demand first.
Exactly. Find a known demand. Then and only then invest your resources, even if it's 63 cents, to supply that specific need. That discipline was his foundation.
That makes sense. Find out what people actually want, then provide it. Seems obvious, but easy to forget. What about John Jacob Astor? He built a massive fortune. Same principle.
Absolutely. Astor arrived in America in debt. Later, he took over a failing millinery store, a hat shop. Did he pour money into it? No.
What did he do?
He applied the same common sense. He went and sat on a bench in a park and just watched the women walk by. He paid close attention to the hats they were already wearing and seemed to like the shapes, the colors, the trims.
He did market research just by observing.
Pretty much. Then he went back to the store and instructed them. Make hats like that, the ones people are already buying and enjoying. He didn't try to guess the next trend. He focused on supplying the current, confirmed taste. No speculation, just meeting an existing desire.
Simple but brilliant. Supply what's already popular.
And it works at any scale. Conwell tells the story of a poor carpenter in Hingham, Massachusetts. Out of work, struggling.
Yeah.
A neighbor suggests he listen to his own children.
Listen how?
He literally asks his kids, what kind of toys would you like? They say, oh, a little doll's bed, a small carriage. Simple things.
Okay.
So he gets some firewood, uses his skills, and makes those specific toys for his kids. Then he realizes, hey, if my kids like these simple things, maybe other kids in town will too.
He scaled it up based on that initial local need?
Exactly. He started making and selling them locally, applied his existing skill to a demonstrated nearby need. Conwell says he became one of the richest men in that part of Massachusetts, from firewood toys based on what his own kids wanted.
It always comes back to finding the need close to home, like the snap button story.
Right. The woman in New England who got frustrated because her collar button kept sticking or falling off. So she invents the snap button, solves her own problem. Conwell's punchline. Her fortune was too near, right under her chin.
Solving those everyday frustrations right in front of you. That's where the diamonds often are.
That's the argument. It's about that focused application of common sense to the immediate environment.
And Conwell applies this idea of focus not just to business, but to, well, greatness in general, right? He had some interesting things to say about politics and heroism.
He did. He argued, quite controversially perhaps, that holding political office is often prima facie evidence of littleness.
Littleness. Why? Because politicians are powerful.
His reasoning was that the office holder is ultimately the servant of the people. Their power isn't truly their own, it's delegated. He wasn't necessarily saying politicians are bad people, just that true independent greatness might lie elsewhere.
Okay, so where does he see true greatness or heroism?
He contrasts Lieutenant Hobson, who became famous for sinking the Merrimack ship in the Spanish-American War, with the 7 ordinary sailors, the privates, who actually went with him on that incredibly dangerous mission.
And nobody remembers their names.
Exactly. Hobson got the fame, the rank. The privates, who took the same risk, remained largely anonymous. For Conwell, their quiet, dutiful action represented a different kind of greatness, one not tied to public recognition or rank.
So greatness isn't about titles or fame. What is it about then? He mentions Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, he cites Lincoln's personal rule for achieving anything significant. Lincoln apparently said, whatsoever he had to do at all, he put his whole mind into it and held it all there until that was all done.
A total focus on the task at hand.
Complete, unwavering concentration, finishing one thing fully before moving to the next. Conwell believed this principle, this intense focus, is what makes people great, almost regardless of their position or location.
So the final message, the ultimate charge from Conwell is what?
It's that real greatness isn't about grand titles or finding some magical opportunity far away. It consists in doing great deeds with little means and the accomplishment of vast purposes from the private ranks of life. Meaning you need to be great right where you are, here, now, as he'd tell his audience in whatever city he was in. If you, through your daily work, give your city better streets, better schools, more happiness, more efficiency, that is greatness. Applying your whole mind to improving things right around you.
So this whole deep dive into Acres of Diamonds, it really comes back to that core idea. Stop looking over the horizon. The treasure map points right back home.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating that local vision, seeing the needs and opportunities nearby, and then applying persistent, focused, common sense effort to meet them. Honesty, understanding human need, and that Lincoln-like focus.
Okay, let's wrap up. A final provocative thought for everyone listening, drawn from Conwell's work.
I think it has to be this line he quotes, I believe, from the poet Bailey. We live in deeds, not years, in feeling, not in figures on a dial.
Deeds, not years. Feeling, not time.
Right. And Conwell uses it to challenge you, the listener. Remember Bailey's conclusion. He most lives who thinks most, who feels the noblest, and who acts the best. That's the ultimate call to action act. Think, feel nobly, right where you are.
A powerful thought to end on. We really hope you enjoyed this analysis, this shortcut to understanding Acres of Diamonds.
If you appreciate getting insights like this quickly, please do share this deep dive and make sure you're following The Thought Vault on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Subscribe, like, follow all that good stuff so you never miss out on being well-informed fast. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.